In this lesson I'm going to show you how to make a 4-claw basket setting for a round stone, and I've made this into a pendant. It's a very simple technique, and once you learn how to do this you can apply it to different shaped and different sized stones. So these are all new lessons on the websites jewellerytrainingsolutions.com.au. In the meantime, check this one out. And if you want to know how to set the stone, then go to the website and look under free lessons. Check it out. For this project I'm using a 7.5mm round CZ, and I've got some 1.2mm round wire that's approximately 140mm long, which is longer than I need. And what I first need to do is make 2 jump rings that are exactly the same size as the stone, so when the stone's sat on top of the jump rings you cannot see them. So to do that I need to find a stake that when I wrap the wire around I get the outside diameter. So if you're using a different size stone, the formula is the thickness of the wire times 2, deduct that off the diameter of the stone, and then find a stake that matches that outcome. So in this case I've got a 5mm stake. Just to make 2 jump rings, I'm not going to clamp it in my vise. I'll just use my parallel pliers and just pinch the end onto the stake. Make sure you get them nice and tight. Before I cut that, I'll just make sure that I can't see the jump ring when I place the stone on top, so that looks about right. So we need to get a perfect joint, so the best way to do that is to overlap the joint, so they cross over like that, and then just get some tension in there and bring it across. Make sure there's no step in it. You can just see that there's a bit of a step there, so I'm just going to squeeze that down to get rid of it. Okay, now that's ready for soldering, and the same with the other one. Now straighten the end of the wire, and we're going to use this wire now to bridge the 2 jump rings when we solder them. That will then later on form the jump ring for the chain to go through. Now these pendants look really good when they're on a fine chain, but if you're using a heavier gauge chain then you're going to need a longer piece than I'm going to cut now. So I'm cutting a piece that's 11mm, and I'd suggest if you're putting something thicker through then maybe around about 15mm long. You can make a judgment once you've seen how mine turns out before you go ahead and cut all your pieces. Also, if you're going to use it with a neoprene chain, you know, the thick or leather cord chains, then again you need a longer piece. Just flatten the ends. So flux the joints, and I'll just put a bit of flux on the ends of the wire. I'm going to cut myself a couple of pieces of hard solder. Now before I form the setting, I'm just double checking to make sure that I can't see any metal around the stone when I place it on top. So that looks okay, and you can also just measure to make sure it matches the same diameter, which it does. Now place your round nose pliers right in the middle of the bridging wire, like so, and then push one side and the other, and make sure you get them lined up. So this one's a little bit longer there, so I'll just squeeze it around so it starts lining up with the other side. And I might actually just use the 1.2mm thick sheet. So I didn't need my ruler in there. Yeah, that's a much better gap, I think. So you can imagine with the stone in place. Just put your stone on, make sure that the cullet or the point of the stone doesn't poke through. It's well clear there, so I think that'll do quite nice. For marking out for the claws, we're going to go across the setting like so, and what I suggest you do is just mark it out by eye like that, and to make sure that you've crossed through right through the middle of the setting, just lay your saw blade on top and just make sure it looks perfectly symmetrical either side of that. And again, we're looking for that perfect letter T. And you can see the way that I'm burring, I'm holding my work, and I'm also contacting the plate here, or the sheet here. It's very important to have that kind of contact, even if you contact the bench peg, and that will bridge both hands together and keep your burring hand steady. If you do it without any connection, then there's a chance it will tear off and damage your work. So you really need to firm your grip up, and I do plenty of exercises to help you get your burring and drilling skills. So if you're having a problem at this stage, then just check out the drilling test. That's got some really good skills in that, and that's free, that's in the silver level. So I've done the first stage of the grooves. I need to just make sure that the spacing's right. That still looks okay, and now I'm going to open those out. This file is called a slotting file. You don't see this much nowadays in the jewellery industry, but in my day when I was a student, we used these for cutting the grooves in for claws all the time. So I can't expect that you got one of these, but this makes a nice bed for the claws, and the thickness of that was 1.2, which is the same as the claws. So you can see there's teeth on the very edge, but none on the face there and there. So don't worry if you haven't got one, because this is another way of doing it, and this is just with a drill. So we're going to use the drill as a file. So it's a 1.2 drill. Get the speed up first. Have this perfect connection between your work and any apparatus you're using to help you hold the work together like I am. And push it against the bench peg. Speed up and the area there. If you put the drill on and then start it up, it could rip off, so make sure you get it going first. Now when I check the they fit, it's perfect. So happy with that. I'll move around and do the rest of it now. Yeah, it saves a lot of time to solder all the pieces on in one go, rather than one piece, pickle, and then the next piece. So what I recommend you do is flux all the parts on the setting, set it up like that, then flux the claw wires and just put those to one side. The flux acts like a glue, so I like to get it into position and then just use my pick to pop the solder on. And I'm just going to do one solder joint on each claw, then I'll check that doesn't look straight, so I'll just push it up, then I'll So I'll just mark off 2 millimeters from the top of the top tier jump ring, and I'll trim those claws so they're all the same length. Round those pliers in there, because the setting will hold together now that it's all soldered. So I'm just working one side of my pliers in there and go the other way as well. You can wrap a piece of emery around a needle file and just get right into those nooks and crannies. And now I'll finish off with my cotton mop, and my polishing compound of choice is called Hi-Fin, so it's really good for white metals. And a little bit of the Hi-Fin on some cotton string will get the inside of the setting nicely polished as well. So there we have it, the simplest way to make a 2-tier basket setting for a round stone. If you want to check out how to set the stone, then just go to jewellerytrainingsolutions.com.au. It'll be under free lessons. Hope you enjoyed.